Hello, everyone. Dan McTeague, President Canadians for Affordable Energy, coming at you just on the heels of the federal election, which saw Mark Carney actually win a campaign that I thought just several weeks ago wasn't going to be possible, simply because Canadians had had enough. Obviously, concerns about affordability, concerns about the future stability, financial of this country, our own personal concerns, climate policies that have badly damaged Canada's economy, and of course, a generational shift away from prosperity to promise has been substituted by what looks like a very grim future for the next generation of Canadians. And I did say during the campaign many times, this would be the first generation that we saw did not do much better than its parents. That's for the first time since the Great Depression, and we know why that happened as a result of the Depression. However, this is really because those of the generation 55 and older, and women in particular, and we have to say that, decided to vote against the grain, against 10 years of decline in our economy and the outlook of the country. And so what does Mark Carney's election really mean? Well, it means more of what you disliked with Justin Trudeau. We've said it to you before, and many people decided to ignore it. What Mark Carney has in store is going to hurt Canadians, and not just because his policies are really reflective of an international organization known as the World Economic Forum, but because of the things he's pursued with net zero. So we're going to look at a doubling down on carbon taxes. Yes, it's coming back. You voted thinking it was going to come back. It's coming back as an industrial carbon tax that will have two effects. Number one, it will hurt business, and many of them may not be willing to continue doing business in Canada. Worse, many may simply pass it on to consumers. And make no mistake, I'm an expert in gasoline and energy prices and predicting them. You voted for carbon taxes to be restored. Whether you think you've been tricked or duped or not, it's coming back, as are electric vehicle mandates. Now, throughout the election and before the election, I had warned about bankruptcies and the poor sales of electric vehicles and batteries, not just meaning billions of dollars of your hard-earned tax dollars and debt that had to be incurred to meet these commitments. We've seen Bright Drop, which is the Cami plant in Ingersoll, shut down, as I predicted a month ago or so. We also saw, of course, Northvolt go bankrupt, Lion Battery go bankrupt. We've seen Stellantis shut down any hope of a Chrysler plant, EV plant in Brampton, leaving thousands of people out of work. We've seen literally a collapse in what has been a strong economic outlook. We've heard Honda, maybe even Toyota, may have second thoughts about keeping their plants open in Ontario. So for Doug Ford and those in the Conservative Provincial Party who actually backed the Liberals and Mark Carney, you have to know that the reason they did is because they backed the wrong horse, try to cover it up and hope that Pierre Poilievre wouldn't win so that we can continue throwing money away at products that the world simply doesn't want. So we're going to see a restoration of a carbon tax, which is going to cost you not just for your transportation, but also for your heating, and will actually start to once again impact higher prices. When that happens, really up to the government. But no doubt we're going to be seeing a doubling of that carbon tax towards $170 a ton, which as an industrial carbon tax, or if you want to call it an OBPS, or output-based pricing system, means you'll be paying a lot more than you've ever seen, and likely no chance at recovery for the next couple of years anyways, until there's another federal election. However, there's also now the emissions caps. So Mark Carney, Stephen Guilbeault, John Wilkinson, the same crew that gave you the bad policies that hurt Canada's oil output and curbed our ability to weather the storms that we got against Donald Trump and the weaker Canadian dollar, are now proposing maybe we build some pipelines, maybe we don't. But what are you going to put in those pipelines if the emissions caps means a 1/3 reduction in our output? What does it mean when you see a lot less investment coming to this country? How many more jobs have to be lost? How many more doors have to be closed for the next generation because we're not exploiting our resources properly? Now, Mr. Carney talked a big deal about mining permits and things like that. Fat chance he's going to be able to get through the lawfare of environmentalists as Canada tries to make its way on new mines and new projects. We also have to be concerned about what the Liberals have done in terms of their whole net zero policy. I've mentioned 3 or 4 of them. Mr. Carney has every intention of trying to hide perhaps the national deficit and debt, maybe make some of it not as transparent as others. But he's also likely to leave the country in a situation where we don't actually have accurate numbers, apart from censorship, which I think is part of C11 and what the Liberals want to do under the previous government, it looks like censoring people is the way they're going to do it. And of course, I see that Liberal voters in Canada, some 38% of them, are good with that, as are their friends in the NDP, who frankly got a shellacking, much as they deserved it for going along with this nonsense for the past 10 years. What this means is a future that is most uncertain and guaranteed to lessen your ability to make ends meet. And affordability, make no mistake, I've been hitting this drum for quite some time. You have voted to make your lives a whole lot less affordable, and that's something that you're going to have to live with. So don't complain when you can't afford to make ends meet, when you can't pay your utility bills, when you have trouble buying decent transport, when you have electric vehicles imposed on you at a much higher cost, which are extraordinarily inefficient, when your children yourself can't find jobs, when your pensions in fact suffer. And yes, government civil servants, those who thought they're immune from all this, when the country's running $60 and $70 billion a year in deficits, on top of the 1.3 trillion at the federal level that we have in terms of a national debt, something I would have found appalling as a member of parliament way back then. To me, it seems that we have a very big problem on our hands. Anyways, like it as we want, a Mark Carney government is going to be extraordinarily painful for Canadians. And remember, you voted for it.